Welcome everybody to the Cast from the Coast. My name is Adam Miles and I'm joined as always by Josh Lambert, Aaron Peerless, and Tim Johnson. What the fuck are we talking about tonight, Tim?
Tonight, we are talking about the 1983 horror classic, Sleepaway Camp.
Stay tuned. Give us the synopsis, Tim.
Well, after a horrible boating accident kills her family, shy, sullen Angela moves in with her very eccentric Aunt Martha and protective cousin Ricky. One summer, Martha sends the kids to Camp Arawak?
Arawak.
Arawak. Camp Arawak. Soon after their arrival, bizarre and increasingly violent accidents claim the lives of various campers. Who is the twisted individual behind these murders? The disclosure of the murderer's identity. The disclosure of the murderer's identity is one of the most shocking climaxes in the history of American cinema.
Accurate.
Sleepaway Camp.
Sleepaway Camp.
The essential whodunit movie.
And it just not to get too far off topic, but I love the misdirect that they did halfway through, where they had someone else coming up, and it wasn't the killer.
Oh yeah.
What?
Where they're making it out to be somebody in particular, and they're very pushy on that subject too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's right there in the synopsis, so
Yeah.
we
The
won't
whole
get too
film.
detailed.
I was trying to figure out who done it.
So you were seriously trying to figure out who done it the whole film. You did not
Whole
clue
film.
in whatsoever.
I thought that the main character being the one who done it was too easy, and they wouldn't just give it to us. I knew there was going to be some sort of twist, so I said it can't be her, and they're setting her up to be her.
But it can't be her.
Oh boy!
Oh doggy!
And then it hits you in the
Was there
face.
ever a twist
And then it hits you in the face like it's flapping in the wind.
in the summer breeze?
The funny thing is that I forgot the ending because I haven't seen this movie since I was like, probably 20, so like 20 years, and I forgot because we're part of this show. I'm watching so many horror movies, some of them just all blur together, and then halfway through there was this one scene, and I went, "Oh my god, I know the ending!" And I watched this with Anthony, and Anthony even said, Anthony caught on halfway through, like, "Wait a minute, didn't
He
the
figured it out.
boys?" Yeah, he figured it out.
Motherfucker.
Legit. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh man. All right, so this is a very, very classic horror movie. It sits in the hallowed halls of horror. Just
like
for
the
its
hallowed halls of horror.
That's right.
Hey, that's a good name for a fucking podcast.
It is a good name for a podcast, isn't it?
But we're not going
to. Woo! Damn it. Okay. It sits in infamy for the way that this movie has been basically for what's in this fucking movie in every sense of the way, from the acting to the story itself, the characters that are portrayed, the actions by those characters, all the way down to the surprise twist ending, which catches a lot of people off guard. Even our own horror movie buff and collector Josh Lambert was caught off guard by this one. So, and this is where we have one of those episodes that we ever so dearly love, because Josh, this was your first time seeing it.
Never seen this cult classic film, and it threw me for a mega loop.
Threw you for a mega loop. And I can't wait to hear your full thoughts on this as we progress into the episode tonight. So, just quick show of hands, though. I mean, I've seen it. Tim, you've seen it and you've rewatched it. Aaron, you've seen this before?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, one other time, and that was a year or two ago. Yeah.
Okay, so one other time. So you were still fairly new to it, and a lot of it was probably a bit of a refresher, right? So, I mean, I've seen this movie probably at least once a year since ever, just because it's one of my classic horror movies that I go back to. Especially, you know, Friday the 13th has the wonder of being like the ultimate summer camp movie for a lot of people. Like, in any terms, any of the Friday the 13ths, you know, really, because they take place at summer camps for the most part, except for the later years. But when it comes down to it and you want a summer camp movie, what's the first thing that comes to mind? You know?
Friday the 13th.
Camp Crystal Lake, Friday the 13th. But this movie's always followed in those steps for me. It's just a classic tale of summer camp horror, and you know, it's fun in that way. So let's talk about the characters who bring the story to life. So first and foremost, we got to talk about the absolute amazing Felissa Rose as Angela, who played this role when she was merely 13 years old.
That's crazy.
I have a lot of trivia, so let's not necessarily dive too deep because you'll ruin that section of the show.
As Adam tends to do. Adam ruins the show every time. So, okay, moving away from that. But she was 13 years old. She played the character Angela, and she's quiet. She doesn't speak much. The movie has the opening sequences that show that she went through a very traumatic experience, losing her brother ? And her father to a boating accident, which was interesting.
Those fucking idiots in the boat. That dumb girl. That dumb girl.
As soon as she took the wheel, you knew it was
like, what the fuck?
My dad's got a boat. Yeah, she's gonna kill people.
It's bigger than yours.
It's bigger than.
The guy gives in right away. He's like, well, okay then.
And it's so over the top acted, like, all right then. Yeah.
He's acting against the wind, guys.
He's hard up against it, though. He's hard up against it.
You know who it reminded me of? The fucking shop teacher in Weird Al's fucking UHF. The way he talks.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, pretty much.
Initially, did anybody have like a crazy, like when the credits first, you know, come up, like the soundtrack is just intense.
It is cool.
It's like, what's going on? Like, is there something more going on that I'm not seeing here? Right?
The whole film was like that, I think. It was very much over the top.
The really cool thing about the opening, though, you bring up a good point about this. So the opening sequences, if you go back and you think about it, or you go back and you watch it after you've watched the movie, the opening sequences show the camp in disarray after the events of the movie. And during the soundtrack, you can actually hear bits from the movie, not giving anything away about what's going on, but you can hear the murder scenes and people yelling and screaming, and you can hear activities that occur later on in the movie throughout the opening when it shows the different cabins and stuff in disarray.
Oh, wow.
So it's almost like they're kind of saying, this shit's already happened, let me show you what led to this. I thought it was always a bit of a strong opening that way because, you know, after so long, Hollywood got into the idea of just jumping into the movie, you know, a la Star Wars, you know, it doesn't give you the credits, it just jumps into the story. But this was kind of an old-timey Hollywood situation where they play the credits, they kind of give an opening scenario and visual of what's going on before they jump into the storyline itself. But it was really well done opening too, so, you know, there's that. So we have, once again, Angela, who, as was stated in the synopsis, is sent to summer camp with her cousin, Ricky, who is a very overprotective person of his cousin, just due to the fact that she's extremely shy. She doesn't talk very much. She has problems fitting in for the most part because of that, and she tends to get bullied quite a bit. So we got two very different characters. He's very outgoing. He, you know, is talking about his girlfriends from summer camp's past, and he's, you know, he's one of the guys, like, and he's kind of like one of these characters that very much so it looks like the kids almost look up to him, because he's like kind of almost senior at this camp when it comes to the kids. You know what I mean? He's got friends, and you know, it comes down to, even they've got that one scene where he's playing the joke on their friend Mozart. And I love that joke. That used to be like a big fucking fun joke for people back then, right? And you know, it's like everybody's like watching in anticipation for him to pull this joke off, and they're you know, is what it is. It's fun.
So question. They live together, right? Angela and the guy?
Yes, he knows.
Yes.
I was just going to ask. So
yes, he absolutely knows.
I have to rewatch it now, knowing what I know.
That's why he's overprotective of her.
Yes,
yeah.
That's a big part of what's going on. Is he knows the situation already. And little things like that lead up to the ending too. Like the aunt, you know, Ricky's mother, her aunt, gives them Aunt Martha. She gives them their physicals.
Right.
And she's like, you know, don't let them know where you got this, because I'm a doctor, blah, blah, blah. And she gives it to them, right? And it's like, right off the bat, like, you know, you got to think, going back, well, no wonder she did the physicals, not just because she's a doctor, but...
to keep the secret.
Keep the secret of what's going on, right?
Because there's a lot of stuff now that gets pieced together. I think if a second watch, knowing what I know.
And see, the thing is that, like, it's not like they pulled a fast one. They tell you right off the bat what the twist is, because, well, after the accident, it's the little boy that's floating in the water, and then they go 8 years later, and they start talking about, you know, when you came to live with us and blah blah blah, and it's Angela. It's not a little boy, it's Angela.
Yep.
So I got a question for you. Maybe I don't want to wreck any trivia or anything like this, but initially when I was watching this whole boat scene unravel, I saw somebody water skiing, and then they disappeared, and I was like, is she not water skiing?
She drops the line.
Yeah, she's the one in the water just screaming, remember? Like,
somebody help
like,
them.
over like for like 4 minutes.
Gone. Like they're having a conversation, and he's like turn the wheel, and she's not even turning the wheel if you look closely. Yeah. She's letting the wheel slide.
Yeah, she's like, touching
right?
the wheel. Yeah.
Right? But no. I don't know. That, for me, I was like, what the heck? I don't see the water skier. What the heck happened? And then the next shot, like water skier's there.
Yeah, it looks like the water skier drops the line, you know, to avoid getting in this collision that she's yelling about going to happen. Basically,
wasn't she the one that first started yelling about it? Like, watch out.
Yeah. But it's like she disappears and then reappears, and then I think she drops the line. Watch it again. Like when you guys see that, you'll be like, you guys will be like, oh, okay.
Continuity
wasn't full of shit.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what I picked up on it. Maybe.
Nice.
The fucking dismissiveness of that, Aaron? Did you hear that?
There was no dismissiveness. Shut up, Tim.
Just like, shut up, Aaron.
No, it's true. It's true.
Okay, so speaking of Angela, because, you know, that is the first character and we keep getting sidetracked. At first, I just thought Felissa Rose couldn't act. Like, at the very first, because I didn't get the setup of what they were doing with the character, right? But then it turned out to be an amazing performance because she doesn't talk much, yet she's emoting so much through her eyes and, you know, the way she's like carrying herself and stuff. And, you know, she's not talking to anybody and all that kind of stuff. And all the, you know, counselors and other of the campers and stuff. I keep saying and stuff. I don't mean to. They're all giving her, you know, a bad time and stuff. I'm just kidding. That one I threw in as a joke. Yeah. But the moment she starts talking to, I think his name was Paul.
Yeah, Paul, Ricky's friend.
It melted my heart. It melted my heart because I was like, oh, she feels safe around Paul, right? And yeah, like I just I really appreciated the subtleness of her acting portrayal of Angela.
Well, the best thing about her portrayal of Angela, outside of when she kind of opens up to Paul, which I thought was amazingly done because she really did show two different sides of the character, that fucking stare is amazing. When she's
She
just,
does got the dead eyes.
she just, there's nothing. She almost looks soulless.
Yeah.
The way that she's just dead staring at people. It's incredible.
It's the big brown eyes at him.
Oh yeah,
they pierce. Yeah,
they do, man.
Yeah,
and it's, you could tell, like, in all honesty, like when what is it, Judy gets pissed off at her. Fucking Judy. But when Judy gets pissed off at her for just staring at her, you could believe that if she was really sitting there doing that to this bully character, that the bully would just keep getting more pissed off because of the fucking stare, man. Yep. It's crazy. It was good. So, you see some really good sides to her. You see the whole quiet side. She's not talking much and she's just staring. And it's less is more in a lot of cases with this character. And then she opens up later on, and it's like Tim said, it's adorable because she's a kid. She's now a kid again. You know what I mean? And she's feeling safe. And then you go to wonder, is that what she's like, with Ricky when they're home? You know what I mean? Is she comfortable doing that, or is this the first time that she's really been like that? Like, because when she's leaving for summer camp, she's quiet as shit.
I'm going to assume, yeah, because she's probably really quiet around the aunt.
Yeah.
But I feel that her relationship with Ricky is kind of like what we saw with her with Paul, like just opening up and being, a kid, and when Paul gets caught kissing Judy, immediate turn off. Like she turned off and she's doing the "don't fucking talk to me" kind of look.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So okay, so talk about Ricky a little bit more. So he's definitely, I mean, he's the cousin. He's the big brother character for her. I mean, he's the cousin, but he's very, very protective of her, to the point of being overprotective, because he causes a lot of shit that gets him in people's eyes.
It's almost like he knows something.
It's like he knows something. That's right.
Some kind of secret.
He knows. Why is
cousin brothers
and his best buddy's like trying to get on her?
Yeah.
Wouldn't he try to
Well, I'm assuming that just goes into. I mean, when you look at it, like, even though this movie came out in '83, like, this it got the whole transgender kind of vibe, which is
Sure.
socially acceptable now, and people can be whatever they want. But I mean, 1983,
it was a massive taboo.
It was a massive taboo, and I'm assuming that Aunt Martha was basically like, she's a girl, so treat her like a girl.
Yeah, I think Aunt Martha's just fucking Looney Tunes, though.
She is.
She totally fucking is Looney Tunes.
I loved her. I loved her over the top acting.
Yeah. Her vocals, like the kids need to walk around with headsets on, headphones. Like,
yeah. Okay,
like,
so let's jump onto the topic of Aunt Martha there for a second then, because is one of Tim's favorite characters in the movie, and I love the character because she's purposely cheesy and over the top. Like, she really is. She doesn't fit in with any of the other fucking characters in this movie in the terms of the way that she's acting and the way that she is. But it's great because she's not in the rest of the movie with these other characters. She's only, kind of part of the bridging scenario here, right? And
that's the precedent for this movie. It really does. Because immediately she speaks and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Fuck am I watching here?
Her.
Wasn't that nice of me?
I fucking loved her. Oh, I loved her.
Yeah. Right down to the fact that she's truly motherly and auntie when she's packing them snacks for the trip, and she's preparing them for things, and like I said, she's a doctor. And that was something that was kind of brought up at the very beginning too, is when it shows the kids out in the water. Angela's one of the kids, but it's not Angela, it's the other Angela. And we have the fact that they're talking about the doctor. They were like, Dr. Martha is coming. And all of a sudden the kids are like, is she bringing Ricky? So it's like, it's already piecing together the characters that you're going to meet in a couple of minutes. So you realize that the doctor, she's coming to visit them at the summer camp or wherever they are at that time, you know, the boating club. And you know, Ricky's apparently part of that. So whatever happens, they're already on their way. She obviously takes Angela and now, you know, family and living. But she's crazy because it's beautiful, because I love that the reveal wasn't just there it is. It wasn't just Angela's a he and the movie ends.
No, they set it up like right from the beginning.
Absolutely. They set it up right from the beginning, and the best part is that they included the aunt as a major part of that reveal, which I really appreciated, because her over the top attitude was selling it. Like, she was like, you know, it's almost like one of those situations, and we talked about, you know, the transgenderism and with the situation, but it's not like this was Angela's decision. This was her literally going, we already have a boy, that just wouldn't work to have another one. Angela, I like that name. So it's like,
it sounds like Angel.
Yeah, sounds like Angel. So now she's making the decision to have a little girl around the house.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I didn't like her hat.
Her beret?
It was
What do you mean?
amazing. It was like,
that was the best part. That's the only redeeming factor of the character.
I didn't like anything about her. I just wanted her to shut up and go to the next scene. That's all.
I love the fact that she did the fucking string around her finger, and she's like, and she gets lost in her own thoughts, and she's like,
Hey,
oh yes.
What kind of fucking doctor is this lady?
I wonder if she does that in surgery. Looks at her face.
Definitely.
Oh, that's what we need to do for this brain surgery.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to remove this noodle right here.
Yeah.
You smell burnt toast. Oh man. So yeah, so she's a good character that helps to move the storyline, but I like how they didn't overuse her. She was at the beginning, she introduced the characters basically, and then she's at the end as a very important part of the reveal, because it wasn't just Angela's a he, it's there's a reason. And it isn't necessarily, and you can tell now why Angela's gone batshit fucking crazy, because she's been pushed into being something else, and she's quiet about it. She's lived a different life about it, and after a traumatic experience, having to go through, I don't want to say another traumatic experience, but after a traumatic experience, having her life entirely changed on her in many ways.
Well, it is a traumatic experience, because part of that kind of flashback at the end was, okay, so her parents got a divorce because her father comes out as gay.
Yeah.
So there's that. To an impressionable kid that, especially in 83, that's another taboo subject. And so she's already got that. Now she's dealing with the PTSD of, she just saw her brother and father get killed in a boating accident. And then on top of that, she's got this batshit crazy aunt that makes her a fucking a girl when, you know, it's a guy. And, you know, the fact that she's any semblance of normal talking to people is beyond me. So once all those pieces kind of came into place, you absolutely understood Felissa Rose's fucking portrayal of this very sweet, innocent girl. You know what I'm saying? Look at her. She's, you know, she's not going to kill anybody.
No.
She's too sweet for that.
She's too sweet. And that's the scene when she starts fucking talking to Paul, and melted my heart. Melted my heart.
So let's get through some of the other major characters here for a minute, so we can kind of move on to the other subjects that we have tonight. But some of the main protagonists in the story we'll talk about here for a minute. Judy. Bitch Judy.
Oh, that bitch.
What a C word.
Oh, what a
I tell
C
you
word.
what.
Oh man. So I like how the fact that she wasn't just a random character either. So they bring her into the fact
Look at the look on that bitch's face.
She's
Evil. She's even got a shirt that says Judy. Like, we didn't know who the fuck she was. Judy.
I'm making a shirt tonight that says Aaron on it.
There you go.
Do
Eric. And it's got to be crop topped and everything, right? You know, Aaron.
Pink.
Yeah.
I thought she was hot.
She was like 14.
I don't know. She was a counselor, wasn't she?
Nope.
No.
No, she was a
No.
young counselor.
I take that.
You take that
I
back.
take
Okay,
that
good,
back.
good.
Redacted.
Redacted.
Yeah.
So
No, but I'm trying to ease this. I'm trying to ease everybody else into what's going on with
But
the
guess what?
bird
But,
and
guess what? Guess what? All these people are fucking older than us, so we can say it.
That's true.
okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So she is an absolute fucking antagonizer when it comes to everything in this movie. So she's queen bitch, queen bee bitch, and she does not like Angela. And she's got a hate on for poor Ricky because as she's introduced in the movie, she was like Ricky's steady girlfriend the previous summer camp, and now she's got tits. So she's too good for him apparently, and she's checking out and hanging out with the older boys. And she doesn't like Angela because Angela is not normal according to her, and she's Ricky's cousin and all that good shit. So she's got some of the silliest lines in the movie. You know, the whole carpenter's dream, flat as a board, needs a screw.
Wow.
You know,
I couldn't believe they had a kid say that.
I know.
Like, I was like, what?
And she really is a pisshead in this movie. Like, she is the kind of kid that you look at it, you want to fucking slap her.
She's just mean.
She is.
Just unnecessarily mean.
But let's face it, we've all known a Judy in our fucking lives.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can't say that you've never met somebody like that, because everybody's fucking met one of them. You've all come across one of them. I've gone to school with them. I've known one or two of them. You know, and it pisses me off to no extent. And that's why I think that this character is so hated, is because it couldn't have been written off the top of somebody's head. This character must have been based on somebody who fucking that writer went to school with. I swear. Like, I knew a fucking...
I was so hoping Adam was going to fuck up words there. He started stammering, but he saved it.
Not tonight, Tim.
I think the writer or director or whoever put a lot of their personal experiences into this film, and I think they have a very, very damaged mind.
Oh, yeah.
They've got some traumatic stuff they need to work through, whoever wrote this film, because you can't make this stuff up.
Absolutely.
Who else? There's the fucking owner
Mel.
of the camp, who's Mel, who's
Weird.
He's a fucking weirdo.
He's weird because let's face it, there's two characters in this movie that give off a vibe that we talked about before we started recording.
Well, yeah, let's just talk about the fucking pedophile vibe of this movie.
Yeah,
right.
So there's two main characters that give that vibe. One is Mel, because he's like fucking hitting on a fucking.
But not at first. Not at first. Your
No.
first introduction to it was Art.
Art, yeah, Art.
Art,
the chef.
fucking this
Artie.
camp
Cook
chef,
or
yeah,
whatever.
Artie. The shit, like when he first said that fucking Baldy's comment, I was like, oh my god, I feel gross watching this
Yeah.
right now.
That was the part where all the kids were running into the camp. And
Yeah, the first day.
like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm happy to be at camp. And then he's like, look at all the fresh chicken where I come from. They're called Baldies.
And he said it so he was like chewing on.
He's
like
got
a
the
match or
sneer
something.
on his lip, and
I know.
And the other guy's like, they're not old enough to know what you're talking about, man. And it's just like, and they're all laughing at him, and I'm like, that's fucking disgusting. They're not
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna fucking talk to Mel because you're fucking sick. You shouldn't be working around kids. No, they're like, oh, you sicko, whatever.
And then
Welcome
fucking.
to the 70s.
And then Mel fucking later on fucking getting excited to go on a date with Meg, who's 15.
Right.
Yeah,
Meg's the one who approaches him.
I know.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
She's like all up on him.
But he couldn't have been like,
That's
this
okay.
is inappropriate. No wonder he
Yeah,
had
then-
Artie
Can we
around.
just talk about? Can we talk about this guy?
Like-
Tim's favorite.
Short shorts and
Shit.
crop top guy.
There, yeah, that guy. See, you can see it now.
What was
Eric,
his
just hold on. Let me.
name in the movie? I'm sorry. What was his name?
Yeah, you guys can see it when I angle it. Look at this fucking guy. He was my favorite character in the movie.
Everybody's got hiked up fucking shorts.
And the fucking guys with the crop tops,
Oh
like
my
playing
gosh,
baseball
man.
and shit,
They're
The
barely
fucking
barely
blatant
covering
homosexuality in this film.
covering his nips.
Covering his nips. Oh man.
Now, I might be way off here, but this was released like at the peak of the AIDS epidemic, wasn't it?
Maybe.
When, like,
1983? Yeah.
let's call a spade a spade. So gay people, homosexuals, were blamed for AIDS. Obviously, that's not correct, and that's not what I'm trying to say. But at the point in time, like, being gay was scary. Like, that's their horror icon that they go to in this film, I think. And that all this latent homosexuality that they try to, like, weave in is, like, frightening, because you don't want your children to be gay because they'll get AIDS, and that's, like, the scary thing during this era.
That's a different way to look at it, Josh. Okay. And you're probably right. Like, you're probably right. It does have some undertones like that, and I get it. You're not far off there.
That was like the vibes I was getting. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a different time. I mean, I'll admit. I mean, like, I go back and I watch these movies.
Films are extremely dated. Like,
they're a product of their era. They really are, because I mean, let's face it. Like, a movie like that, you couldn't make a fucking movie like this today. Right? Especially to be able to produce the same undertones and feelings that they had in certain situations. You would never get away with it.
You could. I mean, no, you could, because look at fucking Human Centipede.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking weird, and it's got that fucking undertone of disturbing. Like, you could. It just
different. What scares society changes, right? Like, a movie about homosexuals doesn't scare society. That's normal. That's culturally acceptable currently, and the Human Centipede is not.
Well, no.
Weird guys janking their birds with sandpaper is not culturally acceptable.
No, but what I'm saying is that fucking off-putting, against the grain, fucking
make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You went full jazz hands there.
You went full what?
What?
He was full jazz hands there for a second.
Me?
Yeah.
Because it's you. You're just bringing it out.
Bringing it out.
Sorry.
That's what Aaron does. So that character was Ronnie?
Ronnie? Ronnie sounds like his name.
It was Ronnie. Crop Top Ronnie.
Fuck, he was off.
Yeah.
His big muscles and his big heart.
What a hunk.
He was funny. He was funny.
He's going around trying to help people and shit.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna move it.
Like, oh, the cafeteria's over here.
Yeah. So we're gonna move on from characters because we want to get into the meat and potatoes of the actual movie itself here. So, Aaron, let's talk about special effects, buddy.
Yeah, let's. As shocking in other ways that this movie was to me, the special effects in this were actually pretty good. Everything from the pot of boiling water, corn water, I guess, that gets dumped on the chef. And you can tell that they either really liked the way it looked because they spent a lot of time showing what was wrong with these people when they were getting murdered or when things were happening to them. Like, the camera wouldn't leave. Like, the guy was just laying there burned. You could see the slip skin on his arms and everything, and he's screaming and screaming and screaming, and then they're showing the face with the pustules moving and things like that. So I mean, like, the effects, you gotta kind of start a little bit and then see how it progresses through the film. But through the film, it stays really good. The fella that does, I think the guy that supervised the effects here, created them, was Ed French. I think he's done a lot of work with KMB and done a lot of work on movies just solo. I don't mean solo, but with his own crew or whatever. And you don't really hear a lot about this guy. He kind of stays in the background. He's not somebody like Tom Savini or something that is out in the limelight and doing that kind of thing. And I do believe that this guy has acted in a lot of films as well. But he's responsible for like shows like Star Trek. I think he was Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country, Terminator 2, the TV show Preacher and Westworld, House, Supernatural, and White Chicks. I mean, that movie had a lot of makeup.
I did not think that you were going to end it with that.
I'm not ending it with that, because he also did Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, Hellraiser 4, Creepshow 2, Chud, and the list goes on. Like, the guy obviously knows what he's doing and things, and I think that's one of those reasons why they spend a lot of time shooting these effects and really spending a lot of time. I mean, when the guy dies in the canoe and they flip that over, I mean, and the snake comes out of the mouth.
Yeah.
The only thing that I noticed in that one scene, being that it's a fake body or whatever, is that it looks like he's got two different eye colors, the iris colors in the
I noticed
corpse.
that too.
Right? Yeah, one was black and one was like a dark blue or a dark brown. I mean, right? But as far as like when Ricky gets beaten in the woods there, uh, he kind of breathes out and the blood kind of comes out of his nose a little bit in his mouth. And that looked fantastic. He had a little bit of bruising, which wouldn't be harsh bruising right out of the get-go. It would just be starting to bruise if somebody's pounding the shit out of you, right? So I think they nailed that stuff. As far as the guy definitely wasn't a rookie. Ed definitely wasn't a rookie working on this. A couple of the other things that I noticed was blood was beading strangely on a couple of the effects. Something that I would notice, maybe something that other people wouldn't. But when you get like a syrup-based blood and it's on a rubber piece, then it beads really strange. And what I like to do is I like to take a piece of tissue paper or something and separate those pieces and lay that piece of tissue paper on with a little bit of Prozade, stick it on there, and then put the blood on so that the blood doesn't look like it's beading anymore. It's absorbed into that little palette, and it doesn't have that really strange, blood doesn't really bead like that. What else did I notice? Oh, the girl in the shower with the incision, through the wall. Granted, I don't know how thick or thin those walls are.
Just cheap shower surrounds. I've seen them before at campgrounds.
But when you see her afterwards, she's pretty clean. Like she could have been cleaned up, I guess. But the shower curtain's got no blood on it. She doesn't have any blood in her hair or anything. And the line down the middle of her back is so straight. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do that through a wall with, not being able to see. That thing would be crooked as fuck, So I don't know. That was one thing that I noticed, and it was the only thing really that I can pick apart when it comes to that.
You kind of touched on it already, but I really like how this film doesn't just quick shot the effects. Right.
They stay with
you
it.
can tell the effects artists were very proud of what they did, and they want you to see it.
Yeah. The one part that really I thought that was absolutely fantastic, and I talked to Adam about this a little bit earlier, but was the archery death.
That's the best fucking one in the movie. It was seamless.
Sick. Like
it was so good.
By far, for 1983, that was by far one of the best illusional effects in a movie. I mean, you're watching.
I don't even know how they did
it. We think we figured it out. Me and Aaron were talking earlier. Yeah, we figured it out.
I'm pretty sure that they shot it in reverse, but they had the arrow, the back part of the arrow on the back was on a spring. And they pull it down and release it, right? And when they shoot it all in reverse and then bring it forward, it looks like the arrow hits the guy in the neck. And the only reason why I can tell is because I can see the neck appliance, right? I can see that neck appliance. It's got a weird little sheen to it when the light's hitting it.
Yeah.
And they didn't spend like a lot of time on it, but I did notice that the neck appliance was there. But what a killer effect that was. I absolutely got goosebumps on the back of my neck from that, right? Yeah. The other thing, I guess the last thing that I didn't realize, and Tim, you kind of brought light to that, was the fact that at the end, when she's standing there or when he's standing there, I guess, Angela's standing there with her pickle hanging out, that face is actually a mask.
Yep.
That they used, and the cool thing that they used, and we, I just saw this, but I was very intrigued that they used the bloodline for dripping blood around the edge of the mask, so it blends out perfectly. You don't even notice, and from that distance, what a great illusion, right? You can put that mask on anybody, have that edge with the blood dripping off of it. A1. So for effects, I thought that it was fantastic. I thought that they colored everything nicely for 1983. I thought all around for the deaths in here and the effects, I thought they were great.
Yeah, the only one that I thought was kind of lame. Well, there's two. I thought Meg's death in the shower was kind of lame.
Yeah.
given the fact that she was such an antagonist to Angela through the whole movie, she should have got a better. Yeah, she fucking killed her. She's dead. You know what I
Right.
mean? And the guy in the bathroom stall with the bees.
Yeah.
I understand why we weren't able to see that to get a bunch of bees, but the final shot was good with the dead body and the bees climbing all over it. But can I just talk about the most gruesome death?
Go for it, because I know which one you're gonna say. It was
Oh my
cringy, man.
god. It's fucking Judy's death. Because at first, when I'm talking, okay, so I have a very good relationship with my super. I'm related to her. So I'm over there telling her, like, you know, I just watched Sleepaway Camp. I haven't watched it in about like 20 years or whatever. And Marilyn hasn't watched this movie since fucking 83, 84.
Nice.
So she remembers that death so clearly. But the thing is, at the time, it didn't make sense to me. I was like, okay, so to just put it out there, Judy got a curling iron shoved up her vagina while it was on.
That's what I insinuated happened. Yeah.
But
Right.
it left it to the imagination too on this
They
one.
did.
So yeah.
No, it absolutely, that's what happened.
Yeah.
But
We know
based on that, I don't think that's enough to kill someone. Like, obviously, they could pass out from pain, but upon further reflection, she smothered her.
Yeah,
She
she
had
also
she had the
smothered her.
pillow on her. Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so, but you're so focused on the curling iron,
Right.
Yeah.
right? But that was probably because I was like, that shit is dark.
For 83, that is.
That is dark.
Wasn't it in 7 that they used that kind of thing with a blade though?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that really made me cringe. I was like, "Oh my gosh, are you serious?" Like, oh man, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, the other thing
Like-
is
Judy's death was fucking like, yeah, you deserve that, bitch.
yeah. So
You deserve that.
I
shit.
read into that one time before too, because there was a lot of people that were just the same as what this conversation's having. Like, it was, some people believed it was left up to your imagination, and it's like, no, it flat out went up her fucking hoo-ha. Yeah, woohoo, right? But the thing is like, what people are saying is like, old curling irons like that were big too. So two things really would have happened. One, she was smothering her, and even if that didn't kill her, she would have ruptured her from the fucking inside, because those things would have been longer, right? And she would have like bled out after a while anyway, from just having her insides fucking destroyed from this thing. Seared, and you know,
cauterized though.
yeah,
too, though, when you-
true. But yeah, no, that was a painful ass fucking way to go. But she's also queen bee bitch, and you're looking at it saying, fucking
deserved
bitch
it.
deserved it. That's right.
You know who didn't deserve it? The poor boy at the end.
He was a
Yes,
victim.
She's holding his
fucking-
head.
He kissed Julie. He kissed Julie or
Did
Judy.
she chew through his neck?
Yeah,
Because that's the interpretation I got. She like chewed through his neck.
She had a fucking knife.
What was that? What was she? Okay.
I mean, she used the
Yeah.
knife in the
But her
shower.
face was
and-
all covered in blood.
Yeah, I mean, she also could have been very much so. I mean, let's face it, she was bug nuts fucking crazy. She could have been like fucking making out with the fucking dead body too, for all we know, right? Like, you know, kissing the head and shit.
fuck the head, kiss the stump. She was kissing
She
the
could have been
stump.
kissing the stump. That's exactly.
Well, I think she was just kissing it all.
I mean, she could have been, for all we know, she could have been like, you know, kissing him and fucking took the knife to him and gets fucking blood all over her from it. You know what I mean? When
Right.
she took him off guard like that, right?
Something about just her face when it's wide open, you see all of her teeth. It makes me think she fucking chewed right through the fucker.
Could have been that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Crazy.
But yeah, I think they could have done that shower scene a little bit better. They could have had her filleted open a little bit. You seen ribs and things like that. That would have been cool, right? But just to have that little line going down straight down her back,
Yeah.
like
Well, it didn't make sense, you know, going through the wall. Like, why didn't you just move the curtain and fucking do it? Like,
Psycho
hey,
style.
Psycho
She was
stuff, right?
psycho. Yeah.
was that wall made out of balsa?
Just
Like,
thin
stupid shit.
plastic.
Actually,
Popsicle
if you were
sticks or
to go
something?
through one of those walls, it would be a very straight line because you're going with the grain of the wood. You wouldn't be able to crisscross.
Yeah,
But
if it was,
Here's it, you'd just be able to go right down.
well, try and pull a knife down through even a Moranti wall or whatever. It's brutal.
And if you notice, like, the hand, you see the hand with the blade through the wall.
Yeah,
so
it's good blood effects through the wall with the blood coming through the seam, right? That was cool.
The only thing I give credit to for that death was, like you were saying, Aaron, she looked a little too clean. I mean, let's face it, she was in the shower. So when she would have fallen down finally, the blood would have just washed off of her. She probably fully bled out, down the drain at that point, and the water just rushed everything.
Maybe, but there still would have been, like, I've watched enough CSI episodes to know fucking...
Right, there'd be blood everywhere.
DNA left everywhere still.
And you know what? It just didn't, that didn't seem like it made sense. And you know what? They might have saved some money on the B guy too, because you didn't see his face. That could have been one of the severed head, right? That was in the end sequence as well. They did a great job on the arm that was extended, and then it pans down to the guy's head with all the bees on it, right? The only thing I picked out there was just a little bit in the wrist. You can see where they tried to take care of the seam a little bit from the molds.
There was a couple. There was one up on the wrist, and then if you look right near the corner of his mouth, you can almost see like it was like there was damage to it somehow, and it's like they tried to fix it almost. It was weird.
Well, that's why I was thinking they might have used one of the other heads. Could have, right? Maybe the head from the guy in the canoe or something, because it's covered. So
good point.
Are you guys watching this in fucking like 10,000p fucking HD double?
I tend to rewind
crazy.
Sometimes.
I paused it on the actual effects scenes just to see if I could find things, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've seen this movie so many times,
My squinty little motherfucking eyes didn't see any of that.
Don't get me wrong. I thought the effects were fantastic.
Hello everybody, I am Fabio Frizzi and you are listening to Daycast from the Coast.
That's great. Okay, so effects work. Anything else to add for effects work?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, then I would like to hear from Josh. Josh, do you have some notes for us?
Oh, I've been looking forward to this.
Oh, boys.
Fuck, I've been looking forward to this.
Gee
When I was
willikers.
rewatching it, I was like, I can only imagine what Josh is going to say.
So, and again, I do try to record anything that I'm thinking while I'm watching this film. So, as a whodunit, I am trying to piece together who I think done it.
Okay.
And I did record that as part of the trip.
Fair enough.
So I'm about to take you guys on a journey here. My first viewing for Sleepaway Camp was May 11th, 2020 at 9:24 p.m.
My name is Josh Lambert.
I'm about to take you on an adventure through my mind. First thing, I just wrote, ha 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 ha, those little shits just flipped his boat. Yep. Oh god, Mary Lou is gonna run over those kids.
Mary Lou, yep.
He did. Nice hat. That would be the aunt. I thought her hat was nice. Unlike some people. This Stepford Mom act that the aunt is giving is mega creepy. I don't know what this is about, and I'm starting to question what movie I am watching. My next note was, yes, the 80s, where men's shorts were shorter than the women's. What the fuck, is the camp chef a pedophile? Yeah, he definitely is.
Yep.
What am I watching? I wrote, haha, Judy has some knockers. And then, man, oh man.
I like how you're putting the effort into it, yeah. Man, oh man.
Oh my. Oh no, he's bringing the girl who doesn't talk to the pedo. What kind of movie is this? This is horrible. What a creep. I've never seen a pot that tall. Was anyone else shocked to see a pot like that?
Oh,
Does that
no,
exist
man,
in
that's
real
a
life?
corn boil pot, man.
Yeah,
I've got a corn boil pot. It's like this tall.
But don't they
boil
use
like
that
10
kind of
cloves
shit in the
corn.
military and stuff?
Oh yeah,
Isn't that like a military?
I grew up on the military bases, man. You see that shit all the time, man. People used to bring those to cookouts because they'd borrow them from the mess. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like you could as a kid you could fit in the fucking thing.
Oh, it's just huge. It was a big pot.
Right.
You needed
It was
the
huge.
water to get into
The
it.
part that gets me, I'd get it if the grill was on the floor, but it's already at this elevation.
Right.
You need a ladder to get up into the pot.
Gotta make
I
sure
love how your voice is going higher.
Like what the fuck?
Boiling corn water. That's a rough way to go. It really reminds me of the hot dog water from Bloody Valentine. Man, they really play up the screams in this film. So at this point, there's been like 2 or 3 scream sequences, and it just locks in, and you're just listening to screams for like 2 minutes every time. I love Ben's reaction face. I don't know what he was reacting to, but it was good. Oh, fuck. When the boys were doing the atomic sit-up gag and the face claps with the arse, that fucking sound effect. The Foley man.
Yes, it was brilliant.
That clap was mint. I gotta look up who did the Foley work for this and send them an email.
What a genius.
Eat shit and die, Ricky, and then eat shit and live, Bill. So I've heard this quote many a times and seen it quoted, and is this where it originated from?
Yes, this is. I was mentioning this the other week to you guys. This is one of my favorite fucking movie quotes, just because in the '80s it was like the ultimate clapback, right?
The crop tops and short shorts are unfucking real in this movie. There's a gratuitous amount of man bum in this movie.
Man bum.
The ladies all have no interest in skinny dipping with these guys. There's no respect for watercraft safety going on. No one's wearing life vests. No one's concerned about flipping boats. It's horrible. They're making it a point to not show the killer's face. I think they're setting it up for Meg at this point. Damn, the water snake out of the mouth was a very nice touch. We didn't talk about that when we talked about effects, but it was a very nice touch.
Yeah, we did.
Did we?
Yep.
This guy is awful eager to keep the camp open. What's up with Mel? What has he got to gain in this? He's already got the kids' money. The kids' parents' money. Was he scared he's gonna have to refund them all or something? It's the 80s. You just skip town and open a new camp.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's about next year though. He doesn't have the money to go and open up a new fucking camp.
Gets pranked and immediately pulls a knife. What the fuck is wrong with this kid?
With the foam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He immediately pulls a knife out. He's ready to stab a motherfucker.
Like that, right? He's just them around the room. I'm like, if my friend started doing that, I'd be like, what? Get away from me.
This quote really sums up the interactions in the girl dorm. I just wrote, man, girls are really mean.
Man, girls are really mean.
The owner's socks go up to I wish where his shorts did.
That was good, Josh.
Nice.
That was good.
I thought you'd like that. And then one of my favorite quotes. I got to go take a wicked dump first, though.
Oh, the bee guy.
Like, yeah, I gotta go take a wicked dump first. Oh man, why you gotta fuck with a guy when he's down dropping a deuce? It's like a horror movie trope at this point. The goddamn enchiladas. The poor bastard's just trying to drop a deuce.
Oh man, that's like one of my favorite movies. What was it, like CB4? They killed the guy in the toilet, and the wife's like crying about it. Like they didn't even wipe his ass.
Even Jurassic Park, the poor lawyer was trying to take the dump. Death by bees.
Death by bees.
And then the film earned my like probably 7th fucking what the fuck. Man, this writer has some weird sexual repressed stuff going on. I wrote, man, Angela's dead eye stare is nuts. You're a real peckerhead, you know that, Meg? At this point, I thought it might be Judy. Why is the camp counselor trying to bang this gross old dude? She's like 14, and he's like 100.
Mr. Furley, motherfucker.
Mr. Furley.
That's who he
Sees all
wanted,
his
Mr.
wealth
Furley.
and power.
Come on, knock on
Being
my door.
the camp owner. Mandatory shower scene in a horror film.
Yeah, pretty much.
I wrote, well, I guess Meg is not the murderer. I don't think I've ever seen a film where an old man wails on a kid like a gorilla.
He's like
Yeah.
fucking.
Talk about that for a second. He's beating the shit out of this kid.
The thing that didn't make any sense to me was,
Why?
yeah, like he fucking cockblocked him, I guess, but like all of a sudden he's like, I knew it was you
Why
the
did he
whole
have such a
time, and
relationship
it
with
just
this kid?
didn't make any sense. His reaction made no sense to me.
I said, oh, Judy's dead too. I guess she's not the killer. Who the fuck is the killer? And at this point, and this was the closest I came to the correct realization, I said, what if Angela's brother never died and he's been at the park killing people this whole time? And that was the closest I came, but I quickly dismissed it because I said, no, that's silly.
Okay.
You were
And then I
kind of
wrote-
right.
Okay, that is not at all what I was expecting, like at all. Like in any way. That's not at all what I was thinking when I had that first thought. This is in no way what I thought at all, in any way. At all. And then the final quote that just sums this movie up, fully and totally. I did not expect the film to end with Angela and her bird swinging in the summer breeze.
Nice. Okay.
See,
Okay. Good notes.
I mean, this movie, I really don't even know, guys. I just don't know. It's a cult classic, and I can see why, because
The
it
best,
is.
the best was though when you messaged and said, "What the fuck did you guys make me watch?" And me and Adam were, of course, like, "You watched fucking classic awesomeness." And then I go, "My favorite reply you've ever gave." Well, Josh, did you like it? I don't know.
Don't know.
Accurate. To this point, I still don't know.
Well,
if
we're
I
gonna
like it.
find out
It's
soon,
all
I
kinds
guess.
of weird. Fuck.
We'll make that depiction if you liked it or not based on how you review the movie at the very end of this night. So.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. Tim, I believe it's
Yes.
trivia time with Tim.
Trivia time. Trivia time with Tim.
Give it to us.
All right. Okay, I'll start off with some easy stuff. Some of the campers getting off the buses at the beginning of the film are actually relatives to the cast and crew.
Okay, cool.
The original artwork for Sleepaway Camp Survival Kit box set, which included many unauthorized sequels, was recalled after the American Red Cross complained. So I'm assuming it had some kind of like.
Well, it
Red
looked
Cross
like a
with it.
first aid kit, and it had like similar to the
Yeah.
Red Cross. It had like a Red Cross on it. Not saying it was Red Cross, but
The amazing Felissa Rose was paid $5,000 for her performance.
nice.
What a scam.
that's it.
Yep.
Taking advantage of kids.
I don't know how to pronounce the director's last name. I'll take a stab at it. Director Robert Hilstick
Sick. Yeah.
dedicated this movie to his mom.
I saw that in the opening scene. Imagine. That's the
A
dedication you
doer.
get. Post-mortem.
A reboot of Sleepaway Camp is planned for release in 2018 or 2019. I don't actually remember
That
hearing
sounds
anything about
fruition.
that. As a child, writer-director Robert Hilstick actually went to this camp that was used in the film.
Oh, that's cool.
The film became an unexpected hit and something of a cult favorite for horror movie buffs. It made 30 times more what they spent on it.
30 times.
Pretty
Every
easy when
time.
you're paying the lead actress $5,000.
Exactly.
I should have paid her royalties.
Yeah.
This is Mike Kellen's final film. I don't know who Mike Kellen is. Just give me a
Mel?
sec.
Mike
Mel,
Killen, Mel,
maybe?
yeah.
Yeah. He was sick during filming, but did his best to conceal it, and then died of lung cancer in 1983, August, 3 months before the film's release.
Imagine having lung cancer and just wailing on that kid.
Yeah.
Wow.
Felissa Rose and Jonathan Tiersten, Ricky, developed a romance during filming, but broke up soon after.
Interesting.
He was 17 and she was 13 at the time. Felissa Rose, Angela, Karen Fields, Judy, and Catherine Cammie, Meg, were actually all quite close during filming. When Catherine Cammie said the scene where they throw Angela into the water was really hard for her to shoot because of that reason. 3 original songs were used in the movie, but only one was released on the soundtrack album. This is my favorite. We haven't touched on this. The police officer with the wicked mustache at the beginning of the film, entering the rec hall at the end of the film, is wearing a fake mustache. And
Yes, I should have brought that up. I forgot all about
the
that.
fake mustache was so in your face. The reason was he shaved off his actual mustache during filming and didn't think that he was going to be back for any more scenes. And no, he didn't read the script and didn't have obviously enough time to grow it back, so they threw on a fake one. And see, when you notice him with the fake mustache, I was like, did he have a real mustache at the beginning, or has it been fake all the time? And no, it was real at the start.
Can I just chime in there for a sec?
Go ahead.
Why the heck would the camp counselor, like the head camp guy, Mel, why would he have to go and tell the parents that their child?
Yeah.
When the police are standing right there, I was like, he wouldn't go tell the parents. The police would be going to tell the parents. That was one little poopa that I...
Yeah, because he does say right to the cop, he's like, I need to leave. I have the very unfortunate task of having to contact the parents. It's like,
Right.
bitch, that's not your job. You run a camp.
Well,
Right.
I
Hire
honestly
pedophiles to
I don't
boil
think.
corn.
Yeah, I don't think he actually called anybody.
No.
Right. Felissa Rose's relatives appear in the background as the campers get off the buses. Felissa Rose was only 13 at the time, which is unusual for a feature film. Studios usually cast actors 18 and over who look younger due to restrictions of using actors under 18 for extended hour shoots. So I feel like a lot of this movie's production went against the rules because not only did they have a 13-year-old working long hours,
Also at night.
underpaid.
and at night. Also, this is the rare in slasher movies where the victims are almost all between the ages of 12 and 15. Also, a couple of people are attacked but not killed. Very rare for a slasher film. Now we're going to get into some spoiler trivia. The climactic scene that was accomplished at the end of the movie, okay, was using a nude man wearing a mask cast from Felissa Rose's face. The thin man stood in for Angela as a college student who needed to get drunk he was a college student who needed to get drunk before he was able to do the scene. Because he was self-conscious of having, as Josh so eloquently put it, his bird flapping in the summer breeze.
Imagine being hired and saying, okay, you're a young actor. I need you to fit the role of a 13-year-old boy. What's that confidence going to do to a college guy?
And
Yeah.
the problem is the guy that they cast was way too big anyway. Like, when they did that
He's
pan
like
out shot-
lumbering over. He looked
Yeah.
weird.
And it's like, Felissa Rose obviously has a female body. She's a female, and she had that female body through the whole movie. But then all of a sudden, this end scene, you see the hair on the arms, obviously the hair surrounding his bird, flapping in the summer breeze,
The broad shoulders.
and the broad shoulders and shit, right? But the suspension of disbelief
Yeah.
was awesome because that mask was so fucking good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way that they cut, and Felissa Rose's creepy face anyway used for the close-ups, and then like you still have that image burnt in your head, so it's almost like the pan out shot, you just forgot about it, right? Like, and then you had oh my god, the penis, right? The shot of dead Julie was cut by the MPAA for being much too grisly. The paramedics who carry away Artie at the beginning, the injured cook, were actually real life paramedics from a nearby town. The body count was 13 for this film. Artie's severe burn sequence, the actor was propped up on a fake floor underneath. Liquid gelatin was pumped through the blisters, giving the impression that they're pulsating. Bet you didn't know that, Aaron. I'm just kidding.
You did something there for that.
I'm just kidding. Oh, before you were about to, start talking about with your notes, I was going to say something smart ass just to kind of take all the teasing away from Adam, but I was like, I ain't going to tease Aaron.
That's what Adam's for.
But I was gonna say, like, what the fuck do you know about special effects, Aaron? What do you possibly? But I didn't.
I will tell you one thing right now. I don't know everything there is to know about special effects. Every day is a different day on a set, right?
Felissa Rose's mother did not want her to be the killer because she's so young, 13 years old. So Jonathan Tiersten was the stand-in and hand double for all of Angela's actions during the murders. His more masculine hands with veins could better throw off the audience. He even donned the wig for a backlit shot, which Angela finds Judy in the dark. Yeah, that makes sense. Jane something, I can't pronounce, Krasowski, was originally cast as Judy, but dropped the role once she read the script and learned of Judy's grisly death. There are clues hidden throughout the film that allude to Angela's real identity. For example, Angela refuses to swim in the lake with the other campers, and at one point Judy asks why she always showers alone. Aunt Martha's quote, "Just be careful not to tell anybody how you got your physical exam." For the hive death scene, a dummy was made of Billy, and a mixture of sugar was applied to the face to draw the bees to it. The only bad camper, quotations, bad camper, not killed off during the film was Mike. And Thomas E. Vandell would later produce Return to Sleepaway Camp in 2008, which reunites several of the original cast members. That was Trivia Time.
Trivia Time with Tim. Excellent. Nice. There's some good trivia in there. This movie's full of some good trivia. Period. All right. So with that, it is time to produce our final thoughts on the movie. And I'm going to have to say, Aaron, you're up first. Final thoughts and give us your rating on this movie.
Okay, so initially when I watched this film, I was uneasy. About an hour into it, I was still uneasy. I guess that's what a horror flick is supposed to do. The effects in this movie were on par. Maybe Ricky being beat in the woods had a little less, thinking about it now, had a little less damage than what he maybe should have if Mel was beating on him like that for any length of time. But for the most part, the makeup effects in this film for 1983 were definitely on par. The storyline, I didn't like the mom or the aunt. Sorry, I didn't like the aunt, and her hat just put me over the edge. Even
enraged you.
Yeah, it did. I just wanted to get that scene over with, and then I went into more uncomfortable scenes. And I don't know. I'm just up in the air with this film, and I think there's a few other people in the same boat, literally. But
wow,
overall, it's a classic. and I can honestly say I haven't seen any of the other ones. So for that, I'm going to give it a PG.
PG, pretty good.
Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with the PG. I mean, if it was just based on effects, I'd probably give it an R. But there was a lot more, a lot more things going on other than just the effects. So.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. To be quite honest, it just boggled my mind some of the stuff that was in that. I can't see another movie like that coming out with that kind of storyline and some of the perverse things that were going on today, and then people not making a big deal about it, right? Not that I'm a snowflake, because I'm definitely not, but it would definitely have something to. The ratings would definitely have something to say over it.
For sure.
So PG.
PG.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll go next, just to kind of break this up a little bit here. So this movie is. I watch this movie regularly, about once a year, and Shout Factory put out one of the best releases of this movie ever. They got the Blu-ray.
Oh, the cover art on that is
brilliant. And for anybody who hasn't actually seen this movie or wants to revisit it, because when Aaron was getting ready to watch this, he didn't have a copy of it. I sent him to Shout Factory's website, because right on the website you can watch it for free. Their release of it for free on the website. So do yourself a favor. I mean, go watch this movie at any point, people. The effects work is great in this movie. The characters that are meant to be hated are, with good reason, meant to be hated. Like, they are dicks, they are assholes, they are bitches, they suck. They need to be killed in this movie, and that's the beauty of how they wrote this. Was because they wrote it with the intention of you basically siding with the killer at that point. Yeah, bitch needs to go down, right? Like that was the intention of a lot of that. This movie did have a lot of taboo situations to it, and it is uncomfortable in a lot of ways. The pedophilia situation in the movie is strong. It very, and then you feel better when they kill that person or try to kill that person, right? Because they make them out to be sleazeballs. They need to die in the movie, so they do that. But this is a movie that also goes against the grain about one very specific thing that we've talked about before that happens rarely in a movie, but it was brought up in the trivia time. The majority of the victims are like 12 to 15 years old in this movie. And one scene specifically that always sticks with me, and it was never really truly brought up when we were talking about it tonight, but I wanted to bring it up now, is that you've got the one counselor that takes all the young kids on the camp out. And they're all dead. They're all fucking dead. Like, basically hatchet murders them all in their sleep. So here are all these sleeping bags just full of like 12-year-old kids dead, which is something that never happens in a horror movie. You don't kill the kids in the horror movie. That's like killing a dog in most cases, right? Like, people will, rebel against that. And it's got a shock value to it. So for somebody who's not used to that kind of a horror movie situation, to watch this, and it's going to be one thing after another they're going to get uncomfortable about. And that's a thing that this movie does really well. It doesn't go the route of extreme shock horror movies that are out there today, or that were produced in a lot of times. Like, it's not like a Cannibal Holocaust. It's not a Serbian film or Human Centipede. It does things in a very general way. When it's murders. It's what it is. It's just a slasher film, but it's who's involved that makes it more disturbing, and their involvement. And it's an interesting way that it plays on it. Like I said, the effects work is great in this movie. Me and Aaron had a great time trying to piece together how certain things kind of came out, like with the arrow and everything else, and we pretty much got that down. And overall, I mean, this movie also, I love Felissa Rose in this movie, and it made me happy because I got to meet her a few years ago. I got her signature on the wall there. And then she basically had like a renaissance time of acting. She kicked off her career again. People wanted to see Felissa Rose in the spotlight again. So you've got all these, actors and actresses from the 70s and 80s that are suddenly getting more and more roles. She's got something like 20 movies in post-production right now that she's been involved with. And she's done things like she's produced one of the greatest metal bands in existence, Slayer. She's produced 3 of their music videos and their Killogy, Repentless Killogy videos. So, like, she's been involved with tons of stuff, and it's great to see her come back. And she was in one of my favorite American-style slasher horror movies in the last few years, Victor Crowley, and she played one of the best characters in that, in my opinion. So this is a pinnacle movie for me when it comes to summer camp slashers, because, once again, everybody thinks Friday the 13th right off the bat. But Sleepaway Camp is up there, too, when it comes to summer camp slashers. And it gave us, once again, Angela, the whole twist of the story. The sequels are fun, but they don't hold a flame. They don't hold a candle to the original by any means. They're just trash 80s flicks that took the movies in a different direction. You enjoy them in a different way. With all that being said, I really do like this movie. And it is one of those movies that when I tell people about it and they tell me, oh, I don't remember it or I haven't seen it, I recommend it. I really recommend that people take a watch about it. I give them the heads up, not like we did to Josh and Aaron, because we didn't. I didn't warn Josh about this shit at all. Just throw him into the deep end with this movie, but that's the fun of this. But I usually do recommend to people that, you know, and I tell them that. So with that, I give this movie an R for recommended. Tim.
No, go to Josh.
All right,
next.
Josh. Go ahead, Josh.
This movie confuses me to no end. Just when I think I liked it, I remember things that I disliked about it, and every time that I think that I disliked about it, I remember parts that were amazing and in many ways better than Friday the 13th, in my opinion. The gore was very minimal, in my opinion. The effects they did were good, but again, some of them were very tame. The uncomfortableness of the pedophilia and some other really weird stuff made me feel uncomfortable, but not to the point of some other films, like Human Centipede or even Devil's Rejects. Any of those films that they mean to make you feel like you're watching something you shouldn't be.
Good point.
So
Very good point.
On that point, I see what it was doing, and for the time, like I've already stated, I think that was some more serious hot topics that would have maybe made you feel more uncomfortable. But the edge has been pushed so far in 2020 versus 1980 that it's a different scale they're looking at. The fucking twist. You want to talk about a twist? This is how you do a horror twist. It really is. Ultimately, what I think I'm going to have to do is review my rules of good horror and see where it falls on that. If I can find my...
Find your notes.
My
Your
notes.
file. It's in my file.
In my files. Okay. So, rule number 1, keep it simple, no more than 6 named characters. I would say they did that. Right? They kept it pretty simple. They kept the cast pretty low.
Yep.
Keep locations minimal. So,
At a camp.
took place in a camp. Perfect. Great.
Yep.
2 for 2. Tell us the rules and, more importantly, follow them. Okay, this doesn't really have rules because there's no supernatural element. Generally something I prefer. But when you're talking about a slasher, I think this did a pretty good job of establishing that you don't know who the slasher is. Because in a whodunit, the rule is never reveal your hand, right? And they do keep it kind of vague.
But when you go back for repeat viewing,
this is rule number 4.
Okay.
Rule number 4, if you're going to have a twist, better fucking foreshadow it. So that when I can rewatch it, I will see every step of the way where I didn't make the connection. And this movie definitely does that based on what Tim has said so far. So we're 4 for 4 at this point.
Oh.
Use practical effects whenever possible. So the mask at the end, that is the epitome of the Uncanny Valley practical effect. If you had done that in CG with a little CG bird flapping around, it wouldn't have been as good.
CG penis. There you go.
Yeah. Number 6.
Name of
Give
Adam
me some
sex tape.
cheese. Give me some cheese and one-liners and silly situations.
Cheese, it was there.
So, what do we have for one-liners in this movie?
Eat
We
shit and
had
die. Eat shit and live.
Die. Yeah, that's a pretty solid one.
Flat as a board
Anything
needs
else?
a screw.
Okay, those are both pretty solid.
That's pretty solid shit.
Give me some humor in general. Horror movies can't be taken so seriously. You need to have some humor.
The Mozart situation where they do the thing with his face in the
butt
ass.
clap to the face.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
So, Josh, I know what you have to rate it. I don't think you're going to.
We're getting there. Like, if this hits all 10,
Oh my gosh, 10.
you gotta have some sex appeal. Give us some hotties.
You gotta feel uncomfortable with that
Definitely
one.
lacked in the female sex appeal, but if
Crop top
like
males.
the male persuasion, there was some rock hard abs, some crop tops, some
Lots of treasure
very
trails.
short shorts. Pay homage to the greats. So if you're gonna do a slasher movie, you gotta pay homage to the greats. But I think this movie is close enough to the beginning of the slasher era. Is there anyone really to pay homage to?
It really kind of pays
The
homage to
original
Friday
Friday the
13th with the
13th.
first person and the hands,
Right.
you know.
In the hand,
Yeah.
yeah. And you even have the slasher scene, which kind of pays homage to a Psycho, the
Yeah.
shower scene. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And
to be fair, the point of view came out in Halloween before it did fucking
and it
Friday
came
the
out in
13th.
fucking Serbian movies and French movies long before
It's
that,
true.
so I hate it when people say that. Anything that's been done in Western movies were done in foreign films long before.
Fair enough.
Number 10, never give me a happy ending. People must die, and I ideally leave room for a sequel, twist, or cliffhanger.
Holy shit, it hit every
It hit
single one of your
all
rules.
10.
No fucking
So
happy
you
ending
gotta
here.
rate it. You know what? You gotta rate it.
This has to be an X.
Oh!
And-
Are you rating this X?
It has to, based on my rules.
Rated X.
And I left this film not even knowing if I liked it. And here we are reviewing it an X. The second film ever to receive an X from me.
Shitballs.
Not what I was
That's
expecting.
perfect. I was expecting an R. I was expecting you to argue at least one or two of the rules to make it an R.
It hit every one of my 10 rules of good horror. Even though and again, I can't say I didn't enjoy the film because I did, but I don't put it on that pedestal, but it hit all 10 rules. And so few horror movies, which I love, don't hit those rules.
So
This is the most technical X I've ever given, and that is the best kind of X. The technical.
So then I have a question for you. You've rated this movie
Yes.
X. Will this movie be in regular rotation for you, even if it's just, say, once a year?
Absolutely.
Nice. It's worthy of its X at that point because it hits
You know
everything.
what, Adam? I feel like we did our jobs as horror parents.
I think we did today.
So let's just take a moment and accept the fact that 2 movies in the last couple months that I have never seen have now been put on the highest pedestal of horror film that I have.
It's amazing.
Wow.
Josh?
What was the first one? I don't remember.
Dead Alive.
Dead Alive.
Yeah, right. Dead Alive.
Brain Dead.
Which is brilliant on its own, too. So there you go. Nice.
Yeah, this movie really surprised me, and ultimately, I didn't know what I was going to rate it until I went through rule by rule. I knew when I left watching it that I didn't hate it, and that is the most important step to loving a film, in my opinion.
Nice. That is great.
That's all I have to say about that.
Perfect. Tim, I agree. We've done our jobs. We've educated the masses.
I'm so proud right now.
Good. And with that, Tim, you have to give us your rating now. You have to give us your review and your rating.
Okay, so I'm a huge advocate for 80s horror. And the cool thing is that the 80s horror films seem to be the best way to make a quick buck, right? Like, you know, obviously our show was built around the majority 80s horror movies. Sleepaway Camp falls in a very special place for me. And I'm basing this majorly on my most recent viewing. Because, like I said, I saw this back when I was like 20, and I didn't appreciate horror as much as I do now. Like, don't get me wrong, I love horror, but not to, the horror connoisseur that we all are now, right? Like, we watch horror movies nonstop and then talk about them. So, watching this movie primarily through fresh eyes, more appreciative eyes, right from the start, I loved this movie right from the start. And it had every element that I love from fucking 80s horror movies. It had humor. It had fucking practical effects that were surprisingly really good. Like I said, this movie had me with the burn effects and the pulsating of certain fucking, like, it had me. One of the things that I don't like is the underlining pedophilia. I obviously, as someone who has a child, and I mean, don't get me wrong, people who don't have kids don't like it either. But me having a child, like, I didn't like that, and particularly since my child is 13, like. But I feel that that's what the movie was. It was a very subtle way to make you feel uncomfortable right at the start.
Definitely.
And like Josh said, it wasn't in your face. It wasn't trying to be edgy or cool or, look at our horror movie. We got that. Like, it wasn't any of that. It was just a topic. It moved on. It was in the movie. This shit happens in real life. People are pedophiles. So just that small addition made you uncomfortable, but like subconsciously it made you uncomfortable. Unless you're a pedophile in real life and you probably got off on it. But most people are not pedophiles, and it made me uncomfortable. When he first said that we call them baldies, like, I fucking was like, whoa, time out here there, creepo. With all that being said, Felissa Rose's Angela melted my heart. She was not only she's adorable in this movie, but like, she sold that darkness without, again, it being in your face. It was very subtle, very nuanced. I fucking loved it. I love that they kept, you didn't know who the killer was. I love that misdirect where, you see a hand come out and reach, and it's Angela that turns around and, oh, you scared me. I thought you were the killer. Like, that misdirect, like, when I was watching it with Anthony literally looks up at me halfway through and goes, wait a minute. The boy survived that accident at the start, not the girl. And I went, I don't know what you're talking about, because at this point I knew the ending, right? Okay, so with all that being said, all the fluff, the main reason why this movie is going to get the rating it does, it's got two reasons. One of the most grisly, uncomfortable deaths I've ever seen in a horror movie, with Judy and the implied hot iron shoved up her vagina. Like, that movie made me cringe, and I watch horror movies nonstop, and I don't cringe much. And that movie made me cringe, and it didn't even show anything. It's what it implied. So there's that. But then the second one is that fucking ending. Felissa Rose's unsettling, dead, animalistic fucking grin, standing naked, covered in blood. When she's found, she's humming nursery rhymes to the fucking dead body. Like, what the fuck? She stands up, she starts making this hissing sound, and then it pans back, and you see the mask on the guy, but it's revealed that Angela was the boy all along. And like I said, I've seen this once before, and then I remembered it, but that image is seared in my head. Like, more specifically, Felissa Rose's face, and, if you guys, obviously, when we edit it, you're going to see the thumbnail, which I chose specifically for this. Those two things are seared in my mind and have made me super fucking excited as a horror fan and creeped out as a human being. Um, horror movies now don't do that to me, and this movie did. And like I said, I've seen it before, and it still had that impact. I still knew the ending, and it still had that impact. I'm rating it a fucking X, bitches.
Woo!
I was already gonna rate it an X anyway. I figured I'd let Josh go first because I just assumed it was not going to be an X, and I wanted to end this show on a fucking positive note. But Josh, you surprised me as much as that we were all surprised about the bird in the summer breeze. Like, I was not expecting an X. Normally we all pretty much gel with what we like, what we don't like, but we all have our specific things, and I'm very surprised that Josh is very much in line with what I felt and the appreciation that I have for this movie. This movie gets a fucking X.
Nice. I love it.
I'm
I
done.
love it. And this movie's close to an X for me. It's not there for me.
Now you had your fucking time to review
I
a movie
know, fine.
You didn't rate it an
I
X.
gave it an
Stop trying to be
R,
funny.
which is
I
still.
will say though that it was close to an R for me, but I think
Oh, you
that,
rated a PG next. No, I'm kidding.
You guys out here trying to retcon your
No,
grades. Just
no, I stick with
me
my
and-
R.
You wanna know what? Because me and Josh spoke beautifully about this film, didn't we, Josh? Beautifully. Josh was purposely trying to shit on this movie, and he's like,
I can't.
"It messed. Yeah."
to
So
me it
the
needed more.
rules are the rules, man. You have to have rules.
To me, it needed more. That's why I gave it a PG. It needed more blood and guts.
oh, I absolutely respect both your and Adam's rating, and I know exactly where you're coming from. But I mean, what was there?
Was
For
amazing.
gore, like that fucking, I forgot all about the arrow in the neck, and I remember when I saw that I went, oh shit, like it was so unexpected and clean. Like that's what was. And like a lot of people, when they see real like there was a period of time in my early 20s when I would watch like fucking like videos that I shouldn't have been watching, like
I was the same way.
Orcish
Yeah,
and
chopped
fucking
off.
rotten.com and shit.
Rotten Dog.
Style Project.
Yeah, like so like I've seen real violence and shit, and like one thing that I always notice about like head and like upper body is that initial impact, there's no blood. Like I've seen someone get shot in the face and it's just a little hole.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The throat totally reminded me of that because it just, and then it stayed for a minute, and then it was on to the next thing, right? Yeah.
Do you know what he could have done? What they could have done to make it just that further with that? You know how the arrow has it's split in like 4 sections, right?
Yeah.
For a hunting arrow tip, right? They could have put a fine line just across that when that went in, they had the fine bloodline like it had cut through.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean,
style.
you don't really see it for that long, but that would have been even more realistic, right?
You're asking the impossible, Aaron.
No, you're not really, because it's all shot in reverse.
They could have
yeah.
laid it out and had it hidden, and then when it pulls it out, it's just the 2 pieces. Like they could have literally laid string across it, and then when they pull
guys.
Yeah.
If you the main actors get paid $5,000. What do you think the fucking special effects guy got paid?
It's true.
What was
He
the
got
budget for
paid
this?
Oh, I don't know.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
very low,
I want to know what the budget was, because $5,000 for the
$300,000.
I just
Oh.
Yes.
mind. $5,000 for the lead actress.
Yeah. These guys got paid in fucking boiled.
$350,000.
They got paid corn from that corn boil.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
you
giant pot
boys
of
are
corn.
eating tonight.
No more dog food for Victor. All right, guys. This has been a great episode. I love talking about this movie, and I think that we had one hell of a discussion tonight, gentlemen. So, from every aspect of this, from the characters to the effects to Josh's ever so insightful notes, down to the trivia time with Tim. It was a good overall discussion, and I can't wait till the next one because we got quite a few surprises in store for people for upcoming episodes.
Should we think of theme songs for each segment, like effects time with Aaron, notes time with Josh,
I wonder
trivia
what he's
time with
thinking.
Tim, and
Notes
like
time with
we get these
Josh.
snappy little like jingles and shit that absolutely do not fit with the rest of the tone of the show.
It'd be like hiring the guy who does it for Conan O'Brien's show or something. I wonder what he's thinking. It's note time with Josh. I don't know, some shit.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we got to wrap it up tonight, unfortunately, guys. So thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in and joining us for this discussion on the absolutely highly recommended and excellent, apparently, flick. You know, it's great. So thank you, everybody, once again. Check us out on Facebook, The Misunderstood Art Company. We go live on Mondays and we release review episodes on Fridays. And yes, Misunderstood Art Company. Thank you, Tim. Look for the butterfly. And we're also on YouTube. Check out the Misunderstood Art Company on YouTube and subscribe to the page. Like and share and tell everybody about the show. And let's get the word out there. We also have a discussion group on Facebook as well. So, you know, hit us up and let's talk horror. And we are releasing all of our episodes on all of the major podcasting platforms that are out there, including but not limited to Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play. So check us out for your daily commutes and otherwise. And we're also on Patreon. So take a moment and open up your hearts and your wallets. And join us on Patreon for some really cool exclusive and some stuff that we're going to be offering up to the fans. Until next time, Josh?
Like a bird flapping in the summer breeze, I just want to give you all a have a good night.
The way that you waved was like the bird flapping in the breeze, right? It's the bird.
I love the open palm, like.
I thought he was going somewhere else with the bird hanging.
Okay. Aaron.
Well, just like I said on the live, happy 40th to Friday the 13th.
Ooh, that's right. This is the 40th anniversary year of Friday the 13th. Mr. Johnson.
Stay spooky and eat shit and live.
Eat shit and live.
Because I was like, Josh is obviously going to say that. No.
Too easy.
Aaron is definitely going to say that. And what I was hoping was someone was going to say, like, eat shit and die. And then the next person was like, eat shit and live. But it didn't happen, so I just
Stay
took
spooky.
it.
Nice. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Until next time. See you then.
Good night.